Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, Beaky here with the Untitled Game Show, back once again with more video game news, reaction, and discussion for you guys today on July 9th, 2015. Let's talk about IO Interactive, Square Enix, and Hitman. The new Hitman game was announced during E3, it was showed off during Sony press conference first with a trailer, and later on Square Enix went ahead and showed some gameplay and some information about the game. The game coming from IO is going to be a episodic game, but they're saying no. So there's a little controversy right now. The developer has addressed some issues gamers are having related to the digital release, the price, the content quality, and if you guys don't know, it's going to be first come as a digital release for $59.99 in the States, so $60 on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam, and eventually in 2016, there's going to be a disc version of the game. So players are like, why is this only coming out to digital first? Why isn't there a physical version of the game? And many players are suspecting maybe they don't want people to actually trade the game in after they buy it right away and realize there's not that much content in the initial game. Why would this be a concern? Well, guys, if you already didn't hear the news, this game is apparently going to let you have a story mode and some contracts you're going to be able to take out, and periodically the developer is going to implement new content over the year 2016 until the end of the year. There's going to be a full complete story. So you're basically getting what looks to be an episodic game, but IO Interactive has already stated that that's not what they're intending to do, and I'm gonna try to actually read the quote for you guys right now just to clear up what they said and then give you guys my opinion. Here's what IO had to say. We think the word episodic sets up the expectation that we will sell individual content drops for individual price, but that's not something we're planning to do. Basically, they just said that the word episodic means that they're going to be selling episodes each month or wherever it might be, and they're not doing that. They're going to be giving out all this DLC, all the content updates are going to be completely free. To continue, it said, that said, there are some episodic elements to the story in the sense that it delivers in chunks over time. So experiencing the story will probably feel episodic, but there is also a ton of other content, including live events, which will have nothing to do with the story, and will also be improving and changing the game constantly while you play. So they're going to be improving the game, and you're going to get the story in an episodic format, but you're just not going to be paying an episodic price because you're going to pay the full amount of money up front like you would do with an episodic season pass. And that's what I'm actually getting from that statement. Whether they want me to get that from the statement, I actually feel like this is more of like an early access episodic thing right now, guys, and some people have referred to this as early access, and it could be an issue and it could not be. So let me go into details on both sides of the story right now, why this is kind of really interesting. This is such an interesting business model to me right now. First, releasing it first on digital is a smart move, especially for a game that doesn't have the full content there at launch. Kind of like if they would have released Evolve only digitally. There's so many digital stores that you can't return a game, so many players, I'm pretty sure, traded in their copies of Evolve. I rented Evolve and I returned it after a week of renting it. I only played for 2 days, and after those 2 days I returned the game to the place I rented it from. If it was a digital title, I wouldn't have not been able to rent it, and I'm pretty sure that would have been a situation that 2K would have actually appreciated if they only released the game on, well, let's say Steam, because Steam has refunds, but this is when Steam didn't have refunds, and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which don't really do refunds very often, you would have to call their customer support. So by IO actually releasing this as a digital title, and as there's going to be a limited amount of content on release, if it's only digital for the first month or first few months, well, nobody's going to be trading in the game, nobody's going to be renting the version of the game. So they don't have to worry about any of that right there, guys. They're only going to have to worry about Steam returns, and that's definitely going to happen if the game actually turns out to be bad. So that's a smart business move right there. Gamers could complain about that if they want, or if they don't want to complain at all. So that's whatever. The next problem I have with here, though, is because the content is getting released periodically over a long period of time, and you have to pay for it all up front. What if the content you're paying up front is not actually that good? So I'm picking up this game for the story. I know. So many Hitman fans are going to be like, what are you talking about? It's supposed to be a puzzle sandbox stealth action game where you play the way you want to play. I enjoyed Hitman Absolution just as I enjoyed many of the previous Hitman games, and it having a story is important to me, and I enjoy the Hitman's stories. So For me, guys, I actually do want to experience the story, and I'm thinking I'm going to be very disappointed if the story, I'm going to have to experience it over a whole entire year process. And if the story turns out to be really crappy and I paid $60 up front for that story and didn't get to experience it until the end of 2016, that is a negative to me. And if we're paying the $60 up front and the content they're going to be coming out with episodically, monthly, is actually not that good, does that mean that we've just given them all our money up front for content? Give us all their money up front, they give us a segment of the game, and now they use our money to make the rest of the game. That's how they're actually funding this game? Is the fact that they don't actually have all the money to make the game, and Square Enix didn't want to fund a full Hitman franchise game, so now they actually thought of a business model, which is new. I've never really heard of a developer doing it exactly like this. It's a little spin, it's a little interesting business model. We don't know how it's going to all play out, but it's going to be polished. That's like one thing I'm going to be pretty sure of, and this is what they said themselves. The game's going to be polished upon release. The segment of the first part of the story and first part of the live events, all that's going to be polished. It's not going to be as bad as you would see with a Steam early access game like Ark Survival Evolved, which looks like a fun game, but damn, that thing has a lot of issues, and I can't support the early access version of Ark Survival Evolved. I'm just going to actually wait until the game's out in full version. So, that being said, I think the quality of the game will be there, but I feel like because it's episodic and the stuff going to be added, well, the story-wise is episodic, not the price, because you're not going to be paying monthly. When they put out patches to fix glitches, bugs, all that stuff, we're basically already paid ahead of time to get these patches and bugs and fixes, when I really think they should have already had the money, make all the content, and just release it all at once. I really do feel like that's how they should have did it. I actually kind of was disappointed when they said they were going to be actually releasing the content and story content over time. I'm like, come on, just release it all at once. Let's enjoy the story content, because what it sounds like is that they're not going to have all the content made before the game's actually done, and they're going to be continue making story content after they already took our $60 and decide on how this all plays out. I think this December, the whole game should already be done, and they should already be ready to release that content at any moment and not have to keep on releasing it month to month. Now, there is a twist to this. Now, that's a negative. That's just my thoughts on it. I wish it was all there at launch. It could be an absolutely awesome thing. It could work out so well to actually have a model like this where the game comes out, it's very polished, and the content they release monthly adds to the game in a significant way and is completely free, but it would need to be that the initial release has so much great content to keep me interested in playing the game. I understand that they want to make this a platform so you don't trade in the game, you don't want to rent the game, you want to own this game. And that's what it really sounds like to me, guys. They want your money up front and they want you to keep the game and not get rid of it. And they're not doing microtransactions, they're not doing DLC in the normal sense where you're going to have to spend money on stuff. That's their own words. Will that change? We don't know yet. It's Square Enix. They could implement some type of microtransaction, or who knows? They could implement the system down the line. Right now, we're a few months away. Well, more than a few months. It's only July. The game comes out in December. We're almost like 5 months away from the release of this game. So anything could change up to release when they realize they're not going to have enough money just selling the game at $60 and they implement some type of, well, microtransaction system. But here's the weird thing. They might not have to implement a microtransaction system, because when the game comes out, let's say they're expecting to sell 5 million units in the first 2 months, and they only end up selling, let's say, 2 million units, right, in the first 2 months. Because of something like that, then because if they've not made all the DLC, all the extra content ahead of time, what would actually happen is the content that we were going to get, the grand scale might be reduced. So we don't really know what we're going to be paying for. We could be paying for something that's going to be massive and awesome, and I'm pretty sure that's what the developers are going to be going for. They want to make the best thing they possibly can. But if Square Enix, the publisher, gave them the money to make that ahead of time, that should be perfectly made and ready to go. If we are going to be the ones paying for that content when we buy the $60 game, then we don't know how that content is actually going to come out. And I hope to heck that the money that we are spending, the $60 we're spending, is not actually funding this content that's going to be coming out monthly. Because if that's how it is, that content could change depending on how many people actually buy the game initially in the first few months. Because if the game comes out and only 500,000 units sell the game in the first 3 months, I'm not expecting the content to be very good if we're actually the ones going to be funding it because of our $660 purchase. I would bet that the content we're going to be getting over the next year is going to be quite small and not be at the grand scale that we would require from this type of Hitman title. So I'm hoping that Square Enix is going to do this right, give them all the money necessary to make this a great game for anybody who purchases it ahead of time, because I am planning on picking this up and I really want it to be very good. So this is going to be a cool new business model to see how it works out. I think it's interesting, guys, and I actually do want to see it work, guys. I actually really want to see it come out, give them my $60, and have a game that I don't want to trade in and I want to go back and play every few weeks, because more cool content gets added to that game, and I already paid all their money once. There's no microtransaction, there's no DLC that I got paid for, and I actually have to respect that as somebody who doesn't buy a lot of DLC or microtransactions in many of the games I own. So I'm going to go ahead and say, nice work right here, IO Interactive. Trying something new in the video game industry. We're just going to have to see how it works out. If they mess up, it's going to be their fault for making content that's not living up to the standards of gamers in this modern times. Beaky here with the Untitled Game Show. Share your own opinions in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of this new business model that IO Interactive is trying out right here, guys. And if it isn't new, you guys can point me out a game that has done this in the past and done it right, because I just don't think of I can't think of another AAA game that's come out for $60 and all the releases after that completely free DLC that adds to the story. That's what's interesting to me. Like, you're not going to be able to experience all the story when you first pick up the game. That seems very interesting, even though you spend $60. Their own words, guys. Peace out. I'll be back with more very soon.